Hi everyone. In this video I will show you specific tips, tricks, and cold hard facts to enable you to get consistent Hunllef kills. This video will not include preparation guide as there are many ways to do prep and deserves its own video. First I will show you helpful game options and add-ons that will make the fight easier. Second, we will go over boss mechanics. Third, we will talk about damage during the fight. Fourth will be priority, or in other words, in what order should you address multiple threats and objectives that are present at the same time. Fifth, I will discuss movement during the fight, which can allow you to skip some damage and mistakes altogether. And finally, I will put it all together and show you a Hunllef kill with commentary. The first point worth mentioning when it comes to initial setup is your weapon selection. If you are new to Gauntlet and want your boss fights to be easier, then you should be using the staff and bow. Being able to damage the boss from anywhere in the room will increase your overall damage output, which may make the difference between success and failure when your supplies are low. Once you become more comfortable with the mechanics and movement of the fight, you can start incorporating the halberd. Which brings me to the next tip. If you plan to use the halberd, turn off Auto-Retaliate. If you have the halberd equipped and you are busy dodging tornadoes, the last thing you want is a poorly timed attack from the boss to pull you into a damaging floor, tile, or tornado. The next tip is F keys. Seconds matter in this fight. Setting up your F keys to quickly switch between your inventory and prayer book may be the most important tip in this video. There will be many times during the fight that you need to quickly eat food and switch or reactivate your prayer. CG is all about minimizing mistakes and maximizing DPS on the boss. This will help with both. Get used to pressing these two keys to switch between your inventory and prayer book. Next up is plugins. If you don't already have this plugin, it may be the most useful one for PvM in old school RuneScape. I'm talking about Tile Indicator Plugin. The reason is because of the True Tile Indicator. When you move in old school RuneScape, there is a lag on screen where your character will always appear behind where the game thinks you are. Enabling True Tile Indicator will highlight the tile the game thinks you are standing on. This is especially useful in the boss room since you have to move for much of the fight while stepping around or through obstacles, such as damaging floor tiles or the boss itself. I also turn on destination tile to see where my character is moving to. The next plugin is NPC Indicators, which is another extremely useful plugin for CG. This will allow you to shift right-click any NPC and tag their true tile on the ground. With this enabled, you can easily run around the boss and even cut corners without triggering a stomp attack. I prefer to tag the hull as well, so I know the area to click the boss to attack. This next plugin is optional. If you find yourself struggling to keep track of when you should change your overheads, this plugin is for you. The plugin is called Hunllef Helper. When you enter the room for the first time, as soon as you see the first hit splat on you, click Start. This will give you an audio cue of when to switch overheads. If you happen to get hit with a stomp attack, then you must click I got trampled. Otherwise, the countdown will be off since the stomp doesn't count towards the Hunllef's 4 attack cycle. Here's an example with sound.
2, 1, mage.
The next plugin is also optional. With the Ground Markers plugin, you can mark any tile in the game. This is useful in the boss room because during the last phase of the boss, there are 8 safe tiles you can stand on to avoid the damaging tiles. Shift right-click to mark a tile. This visual indicator gives you one less thing to have to remember in an already hectic fight. Moving on to mechanics, the first thing is standard attacks. The Hunllef uses magic and ranged attacks as its bread and butter. The Hunllef will always start with a range attack, so always pray range when entering the room. Every 4 attacks, the Hunllef will switch attack styles indicated by the animation. The next mechanic is tornadoes. During the mage or range attack cycle, the Hunllef may spawn tornadoes that will chase you and deal rapid damage if they reach you. This will count as one of the attacks during the 4 attack cycle. These tornadoes must be kited around the room until they despawn after 12 seconds. The boss will spawn up to 4 tornadoes as its health lowers. The next mechanic is the prayer disable attack. During the magic attack cycle, the Hunllef may use a prayer disable attack that will disable all prayers. This will count as one of the attacks during the 4 attack cycle. re-enable your prayers as necessary. The next mechanic is the Stomp attack. During either attack cycle, if you step under the boss as it would attack you, the Hunllef will instead trigger a Stomp attack, which does massive damage which cannot be prayed against. This does not count as one of the attacks during the 4 attack cycle. Stepping under the boss should be avoided unless absolutely necessary. The next mechanic is boss overheads. The Hunllef will start the fight with a random overhead protection. Another attack style must be used. Every 6 off-prayer attacks versus the Hunllef will make the boss change its overhead to whatever style was used on the 6th attack. Change attack styles every 6 attacks. The final mechanic is damaging tiles. Throughout the fight, semi-random floor tiles will briefly turn red before turning yellow. Yellow tiles should be avoided, otherwise damage will be taken every game tick. These will speed up as the boss's health gets lower. Avoid these tiles as much as possible. When it comes to boss damage, I think it is helpful to understand the damage taken from the various mechanics in this fight. The max damage for magic and range attacks while using the correct prayer is one of the most useful numbers for knowing when you must eat to avoid getting chanced. The rest of these numbers are useful for understanding priority during the fight. This is my recommendation for what you should prioritize during the Hunllef fight. Keep in mind that each one of these is important, but in the heat of the moment, if you have to pick one thing to do, I believe this priority will give you the best chance for success. The number 1 priority during the Hunllef fight is tile safety. For this, you should always be asking yourself, am I on a safe tile or am I on my way to a safe tile? This means avoiding standing under the boss, staying off damaging floor tiles, and kiting the tornadoes. This is why knowing or marking the 8 safe tiles during the final phase of the boss is so important. It will give you complete tile safety when tornadoes are not spawned. A very close second is overhead prayers. Are you praying correctly against the current attack cycle of the boss? The challenging part here is making sure that you first have tile safety before enabling your prayers, especially during phase 3 when the floors are changing while kiting tornadoes. My biggest tip here is to find your safe click and then immediately enable your overhead prayers. When tornadoes have spawned, you should be constantly reevaluating your current location and where your next safe spot may be. It will be easier to prioritize your overhead prayer protection when you have a plan for tile safety. Priority number 3 is health and prayer. It might seem counterintuitive to prioritize anything over your health or prayer. After all, how can you survive if your health hits 0 or you run out of prayer and can't reduce the damage from the boss attacks, which have high max hits? Well, the reason is because all of the mechanics during this boss have high KO potential. If you prioritize defensive abilities correctly, then you will reduce damage taken to chip damage from the boss attacks and the occasional 1-tick hit from a damaging tile or tornado. The best way to upkeep your prayer and health is by taking advantage of the downtime. Take a sip of your prayer potion in between attacks on the boss while you are standing still. Eat food while you are running from tornadoes or to a safe tile. Taking advantage of the downtime for restoring health and prayer will make it easier to focus on tile safety and overhead protection and maximizing DPS while you have tile safety. Finally, the last priority is DPS. This means hitting the boss with the correct weapon and offensive prayer. This should be your last priority because minimizing mistakes and avoidable damage will be your key to success. DPS won't help if you run out of food too quickly because of avoidable damage. Because of the difficulty of this boss, each priority must be executed sufficiently to achieve victory. Don't be discouraged if it takes many attempts before you get your first KC. You will learn and you will get better. The final topic before we put it all together is movement. Understanding movement and pathing will give you more tools to move around the room without taking damage. While running, your character will move 2 tiles at a time. This means you can hop over damaging floor tiles or the corner on the boss. This means you can hop over damaging floor tiles without taking damage or the corner of the boss without triggering a stomp attack. Pathing refers to how your character decides to get from point A to point B. This is easy for straight lines. Vertical, horizontal, and diagonal movement will always move in a straight line. But what about L-shaped movements? The key thing to know is that in this boss room, your character will prioritize the longest part of the L before cutting a diagonal to the shorter part. As you understand how pathing works, you will be better equipped to make the right pathing in the fewest number of clicks. Now that we've gone over what you need to know, I'm going to put it all together by showing you a Hunllef fight with some commentary. Okay, boss is praying melee, so it doesn't matter which weapon I use. Activate prayer range and offensive prayer, walk in and attack. Start the Hunllef helper.
2, 1, made.
Switch attack styles and offensive prayers. Drink my potion. Get ready to run.
1, range.
Okay, I'm running through the gap now.
2, 1, made.
Switching defensive prayers. Reactivate prayer.
Range.
Switch defensive prayer. Switch attack styles. Get ready to eat food.
2, 1, made.
Okay, just running through the gap back behind the boss. It's perfectly safe. Getting space and attacking. Reactivating prayer. Getting off the floor tiles.
Range.
Switching defensive prayers. Switching attack styles and offensive prayer.
2,
Getting off the floor
1,
tiles.
made.
Switching defensive prayer. Should have tornadoes. Okay, running from them, eating while I run.
1, range.
Switching defensive prayers, getting an attack in. Oh, switching attack styles. Okay, I'm gonna have to double back now.
2, 1, made.
Switching defensive prayers, taking a sip of my potion. Reactivating prayer. Switching attack styles.
2, 1, range.
Switching defensive prayer. Gonna eat while I run from the tornadoes. Coming up here to find a
2,
safe space.
1, made.
Switching defensive prayer, attacking, reactivating prayer, switching attack styles,
2, 1, range.
reactivating prayer, switching attack
2,
styles,
1,
getting off the
made.
tiles, switching defensive prayer again. Gonna go ahead and start standing on safe spots when I can. We're gonna be in phase 3 soon.
2, 1, range.
Switching prayer and attack styles. Getting ready to run and eat and drink at the same time.
2,
Get some
1,
space, then I'll
made.
attack. Switching defensive prayers as well. Okay, standing in our safe spot. We're in the last phase.
2, 1,
Switching attack style and defensive prayers. Okay, getting ready to run.
1, made.
Also eat. Change our defensive prayer. Reactivate prayer. Keep running while I hit him.
1, range.
Switching prayer. Getting in our safe spot. Tornadoes are gone. Taking a sip of our potion.
2, 1, made.
Switching defensive and offensive attacks. Getting ready to eat.
Range.
Okay, gonna eat. Gonna run up this time. Gonna go left.
2,
Just
1,
run them in a circle.
made.
Come down here. Switch defensive prayer. Come over to the safe spot. Start attacking. Oh, gotta switch attack styles.
2, 1, range.
Switch defensive prayer. Almost have him down. Take a sip of our potion just in case. And that's it. If this video helped you or taught you something, leave a comment below and let me know. Also hit the like and subscribe button. It'll help me to keep creating more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching.